Hey, hello, I am Chris Robin, aka at Detroit Beastie, here with Fantasy Six Pack to talk about Monday Night Football. The San Francisco 49ers go all the way from the nice, warm West Coast all the way to Minnesota to take on the Vikings in their beautiful stadium. Before I get into all the point spreads, the over-unders, and the players that I'm into, just make sure you go to the website at Fantasy Six Pack on Twitter or fantasysixpack.net to get in on all these exclusive deals that we have going here, and there are a plenty of them. And the cheapest one, if you're looking to pinch some pennies, because it is the holiday season is coming up quick, Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and boom, before you know it, it's 2024. The Super Bowl has been played, and we're all just sitting around doing nothing. Go to the website and sign up. It's only $9.99 for the cheapest program you can get here, and there is a collection of some of the sharpest rankers that I've ever seen in my life for Dynasty Redraft, and you'll get availability to the Discord. There's some channels there that will unlock, and there are people available 24/7 at the Fantasy Six Pack Discord to help you with whatever you need. I'm in there, Dave is in there, Keith Fleming. Anybody that you see or that is affiliated with Fantasy Six Pack will be in the Discord to answer your questions, or you can find us on Twitter. Enough of that. Let's talk about the football game, shall we? Week 7 is coming to an end tonight with what should be a phenomenal game. Sunday Night Football was great. Week 7 in general was fun, but Monday night is always the little cherry on top. And as I said, San Francisco heads to Minnesota to take on the Vikings. Kickoff is at 8:15 promptly. You know, that's what they're going to do. Boom, right on the money. And they have a newer stadium. I think it was built new maybe 3-4 years ago, but it is a very beautiful place. I've been there once. As we look at this thing, the over-under sits at around 43 points. That one is right in the middle. It's not really high. It's not really low in comparison to what we had seen on Sunday at all, or even on Thursday night. But Frisco at Minnesota. Let's get into this thing. And let's start with Brock Purdy, San Francisco's quarterback. Everybody's saying he has one bad game and he's a bum. One bad game and he's a system quarterback. Why can't one bad game just be that? It was just a bad game, and we're going to move on, and we're going to see what Purdy's got. Does he have the stones to take his team on the road in Minnesota, which they're 2-4 right now, and Frisco's 5-1, so there is a difference of wins and losses, but they are both in the NFC. They could meet later down the road if both teams happen to make the playoffs. So Brock Purdy at Minnesota right now. Minnesota 24th overall against opposing quarterbacks. Purdy 15-5 on FanDuel, 10-2 on DK, $29 on Yahoo. Purdy 19-20 completions, 235 to 240 yards. I think he tosses a pair of touchdowns, and then you're looking at 3 to 4 carries for another 10 to 12 yards. So to me, Purdy he's in a nice spot given the DVP matchup, and we'll see what this kid is made of, because as far as I can remember, just looking back, I don't know if Brock Purdy's faced adversity like he has or like he will be, leading up to this game. It's all been kind of sunshine and rainbows. Mr. Irrelevant comes in, he's done well for San Francisco, and it's the team around him. Regardless of that, he is still the quarterback. He's the general on the field. Let's see what this kid has in the tank for this game. When we move down, it's the savvy veteran Kirk Cousins in San Francisco. Unbelievably good against quarterbacks. Their defensive line in general is they're just filled with monsters, right? They're second overall against opposing quarterbacks. Cousins, 15 grand on FanDuel, 10-6 on DK, $28 on Yahoo. I have Cousins at 40 plus passing attempts. He's just going to be throwing and throwing and throwing the football. So this time tomorrow, he might be wearing a sling. Not that his arm is broken, but it's just going to be sore as hell, attempting 40 plus passes. But he's only going to complete 28 to 29 of those for around 290 to 300 yards on a touchdown pass and a couple scurry scampers for another 10 yards. That, to me, there is just no way that Cousins doesn't throw for 300 yards here tonight, just based on the volume and the attempts that I have for him here. The final score tells a weird story, and I will give that to you soon. Maybe I'll give it to you in the middle of the video rather than the end. But again, Cousins going to attempt 40 plus passes in this one, meaning he's trying to keep pace with San Francisco. When we look at the running backs, I was shocked shocked at some of the price tags here, but let's start with Christian McCaffrey briefly. As it stands now, Minnesota 6th overall against opposing running backs. Doesn't matter with Christian McCaffrey. He is an alien. Defenses don't really matter. However you want to put it. CMC 17.5 on FanDuel, 12 grand on DK, $39 on Yahoo. You're looking at 19 to 20 carries, 90 yards, and a touchdown on the ground, and you know he's going to catch 4 or 5 passes for another 35 to 40 yards. But the issue with him, has an oblique issue, and your oblique is right here, right along like your pectoral. I'm not a doctor by any means, but I know this is your tricep, your bicep. This is your pectoral muscle, and this is your oblique is all down here next to your core. And everything we do, we use our core muscles. Called the six pack and the obliques. Everything we do is within our core. So it might be just a pain management kind of thing. Does he get a shot in his rib cage to see what he can do? But an oblique injury it's very sore. It hurts and it's tough to get over because, again, it is in every movement that we do. So CMC, I have him active tonight and going nuts. When we look at Eli Mitchell, 4 to 5 carries, 15, 20 yards, a reception or two, nothing crazy. But Eli Mitchell, $11,000 on FanDuel, 5.6 on DK, $15 on Yahoo. And as we continue to go down, Jordan Mason, I thought, hey, Jordan Mason would be a nice little move I could tell people about in this video. Guess what? Jordan Mason, $10,500 on FanDuel. DraftKings at least is reasonable. DraftKings, he's $5,800. I have Mason 4 to 5 carries, 20 to 25 yards, and a reception or two for another 10 to 15 yards. So let's say worst case scenario, CMC is active, but after a few plays, after the first quarter, God forbid, he is inactive. He cannot play. He is done. He is out. I do think the next guy in line would be Eli Mitchell. We've seen this kid handle, a full complement of carries, but there's something sneaky to me tonight about Jordan Mason. I feel it weird in my chest or in my gut, so let's be mindful of that. But price tags be damned. Eli 11 grand and Mason 10.5 on FanDuel. That's nuts to me. When we look at the Vikings running backs here, Alexander Madison, the ho-hum kind of guy, 12.5 on FanDuel, 6.6 on DK, $15 on Yahoo. Frisco, 11th overall against opposing running backs. Again, that defensive line is very good. Their linebackers are outstanding. Fred Warner, to me, is one of, if not the best linebackers in all of football. And you're going to have him floating around trying to get at any of these running backs. So when we look at Mattinson, 12 to 13 carries, around 50 yards, 3 to 4 receptions for another 30 yards. So 80 yards, all-purpose yards is pretty going to be the huge for Mattinson tonight. If he can find the end zone, now we're talking. I have a hard time, placing where the touchdowns are going to be tonight for the Minnesota Vikings. For San Francisco, it's kind of easy. You can give CMC one, you can give Kittle one, you can give Ayuk one, something along those lines. But when it comes to Minnesota, I'm having a tough time. I'm working it out live or recorded video in front of you as we go. Directly behind him, Cam Akers, Ty Chandler, CJ Ham. We look at Cam Akers was brought over in the trade, 4 to 5 carries, 15 to 20 yards, two or three receptions for another 15 or 20 yards, and his price tag's more reasonable as well. $8 grand on FanDuel, $1,800 on DK, $11 on Yahoo. When we look at the wide receivers here, Deebo Samuel is not playing. He's inactive. He has a hairline fracture in his shoulder, so he will be out. It says, if you read any player blurbs about Deebo, it says a few weeks. So that I would be shocked if he's back after only 2 weeks having a hairline fracture in his shoulder. But so in his stead, Brandon Ayuk will be the wide receiver one. So what are we going to get out of him? We're going to get a ton because Minnesota's 30th overall against opposing wide receivers. When we look at Ayuk, 8 or 9 targets, 5 to 6 receptions, and 80 yards. Ayuk right now averaging 18.2 yards a catch. That is unbelievable. So you do the math. He catches 10 passes, you times that by 18, and there you go. You got that would be 180 yards. But hey, anything is possible. When we go down the list, Jawan Jennings, Ray McLeod, Ronnie Bell, the University of Michigan guy. These guys will all have a role to play because Deebo Samuel is out. And normally in a video like this or in any any game when one of your star players is out, there is a direct there's a correlation. There's a direct person behind the hurt player that we could say, well, if player A is out, player B is going to get all the action. Well, Ayuk is going to get all the action, but then after that, it's just a who's who of where you want to go in terms of your wide receivers. I would prefer Ronnie Bell just based on the fact that he is available to be the downfield, the big play Ronnie Bell, and we've seen Purdy and Bell kind of connect before. Ray McLeod's been around a minute. Juwan Jennings, these guys have really never produced much. I mean, they're phenomenal talents. They play and they start in the NFL, but in terms of something under the radar, for me, it would be Ronnie Bell. He's only 7.5 on FanDuel, 1,000 on DraftKings, the bare minimum, $10 on Yahoo. When we look at the Minnesota wide receivers, Justin Jefferson, unfortunately, is on the IR. He's inactive. That stinks. It would have been great to see him on Monday night. The stars are out, Debo and Samuel, and all. It would have been fantastic. But hey, this is the end of week 7, and football is very tough and it's rough, and dudes get hurt here. So it looks to be Jordan Addison as their number 1 wide receiver, and he is also a rookie. But is he? It's between him, KJ Osborne, Brandon Powell. Where are we going? I'm going to tell you. Let's start with Jordan Addison briefly. Frisco, 15th overall against opposing wide receivers. Addison, 11.5 on FanDuel, 7.6 on DK, $19 on Yahoo. I have Addison, 8-9 targets, 5 to 6 receptions, 65 to 70 yards. Addison averaging 12.6, 12.7 yards a reception. That's good to see, but can the kid pop up and step up in the spotlight at home, in the bright lights of Monday Night Football? We'll see what we get. But these guys, kids, I should say, in his case, they tend to be fine. They tend to be okay after that first pop of your pad, after you lower your shoulder, your helmet, and you knock it with someone. After that, the nerves go, and we are rolling. As we roll down the list here, KJ Osborne is a guy who I have highlighted because he is going to be in 99.9% of my lineups. When you look at KJ Osborne, 9.5 on FanDuel, 6.4 on DK, $16 on Yahoo, 7 to 8 targets, 5 to 6 receptions, 60 yards or so. So you can say, all the people in the world can say, with Justin Jefferson out, we're gonna anoint Jordan Addison as our wide receiver 1, and he's gonna walk around and go, I'm wide receiver 1, when everybody in the world secretly knows that it's KJ Osborne. It's one of those weird mafia things. Tony Soprano's in charge, but realistically, his uncle was actually the boss in some weird way. So to me, I would prefer KJ Osborne. Brandon Powell is on the radar, 4 or 5 targets, 3-4 receptions, 40 yards. Just a lineup filler, a guy that you need if you need salary relief. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with any of these Minnesota Vikings pass catchers because of the attempts Kirk Cousins is going to take today. So I said, Kirk, 40 plus attempts here. Where are they all going to go? Addison, Osborne, Powell, even N'Keal Harry might be active in this one. If you remember him, he was picked in the first round by the Patriots, if I'm not mistaken, and hasn't done anything. Now he's with Minnesota, if you didn't know. When we look at the tight ends, now we're talking, this is one of those single game slates where it's going to be Kittle in the MVP captain spot, and then TJ Hawk in the flex, and then vice versa. TJ Hawk in MVP captain, Kittle in the flex spot. When we look at Kittle, 10 grand on FanDuel, 7.2 on DK, only $20 on Yahoo, 5 to 6 targets, 4 to 5 receptions, 55 to 60 yards. I do feel comfortable telling you that he will score a touchdown. Purdy to Kittle will happen here tonight. And look, Minnesota, they're 12th overall against opposing tight ends, and that's all well and good. But George Kittle he's in a, I wouldn't say he's in a tier of his own in terms of tight ends, because it's probably Kelsey and then Kittle. And again, after a game like last night, it just goes to show you why Kelsey is so dominant. But Kittle, to me, is in that 1B discussion, 1C discussion in a way. If I'm crazy, tell me, let me know. And on the flip side, TJ Hockenson, San Francisco, 2nd overall against opposing tight ends. And that's because, as I said earlier, most times these tight ends make their living living in the intermediate portion of the field, right in the middle. They camp, and that's what TJ Hawkinson is going to do. And they have, and by they, I mean San Francisco, and Fred Warner is going to be all over TJ Hawkinson. It's going to be tough sledding, but I think TJ's up for it. He's a big dude himself. He can carry some weight. He can throw some shoulder pads and pops down his way too. And when you look at Hawkinson, as I said, 9-10 targets, 7-8 receptions, 60 yards, and he will score a touchdown as well. So for me, so far, I feel most comfortable with George Kittle in the MVP captain spot, and then TJ Hawkinson in flex, and vice versa. TJ in the MVP captain, and then George Kittle in the flex. When we look at the DSTs here, we're looking for sacks and fumbles and interceptions, and therefore, I would prefer the 49ers. They are, on paper and just the eye test alone, they are the better defense. And granted, Minnesota 23rd against opposing DSTs. The 49ers, $9,000 on FanDuel, $5,000 on DK, only $18 on Yahoo, 3 to 4 sacks. I think they intercept Kirk once or twice, and I think there's a fumble recovery to be had somewhere down the line in this game by San Francisco. When we get to the kickers, you're like, Chris, we're really scraping at the bottom of the barrel here with the kickers. But when we look at the kickers, Jake Moody, the rookie from Michigan, both of these guys are in play. 3 for 3 extra points, 2 for 2 field goals. And when you look at Greg Joseph, 2 for 2 extra points, 2 for 2 field goals, things along those lines. When we look at the recent betting trends, I wrote them down, but I don't have them with me. One thing that stood out to me, San Francisco is 0-6 their last 6 times playing on the road in Minnesota. So I could throw all the 5-4-1, the last 8 games against the spread, or the over has been under, and But the one that stood out the most to me is that San Francisco is 0-6 their last 6 times playing on the road in Minnesota. Does that play a role in this game? I don't think so, because I have the San Francisco 49ers to win this one. 27-21 is your final score. Another great game on tap. Another great game will be here for Monday Night Football. So until I see you again, probably sometime soon, maybe Thursday Night Football over the weekend sometime. We have bottom of the barrel quarterbacks coming out soon as Monday evening, Tuesday morning, something along those lines. But until I see you again, be good, be safe. San Francisco wins this one, 27-21. I'll see you later. Bye.